What's up, everyone? My name is Wills Amstutz, and I welcome you to episode 2 of Profit First for Detailers. Let's get started on this. We are OCD by nature, okay? And as organized as we are with our towels and our pads and our vans and our shop, and everything is just, meticulously done, and then we get to our money and we're like, we'll just throw it all in one place, right? We just dump it all into that one account, and it goes in there and it comes out of us. I want to tell you guys up front, I'm going to be straightforward. This is going to be a little bit of a longer video because, again, I really want everybody's head to be in the right place. I don't want to just throw you into this and have the whole I'm going to give you a fish and type of mentality. No, we're going to teach you how to fish, and as you and I both know, it's going to take longer to learn something than to have somebody just do it for you, right? So it's going to take a little bit of time. It's going to be a little bit of a longer video, but again, I'm going to have a task for you at the end of the video, and I want you to stick with it. So if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you can't really pay attention to it, just wait until you can get to your happy place, wherever that may be, get to your recliner, get to your office, get to your shop, whatever you need to do, and you can actually focus on what we're talking about, because it is important, and I want you to actually be able to absorb it, not to just go over your head, right? All right, guys, so let's get started on the second episode. The first thing I want to focus on is what profit actually is. We want to look at that first. So as I explained in the first episode, the traditional accounting method of figuring out profit, and this is accountant's profit, is you're going to take your sales, whatever money you've brought in, and you're going to deduct your expenses, and that's going to leave you with your leftover, your profit. Now, as you've noticed in this equation, the last thing on the list is profit. And as the author goes into way more in depth than I'm going to here, take my word on it, but usually the things that are last on the list are going to get the least amount of attention. Keep that in mind, okay? So what he does is he redoes the formula to where now we have sales revenue minus profit, putting profit right up there, right after we get money, we're paying ourselves first, equals expenses. And expenses are going to be what we have left to run our business off of. And there's going to be more than enough there, all right? Just take my word on that. We're going to be okay. If you've looked at things before as far as having profit, like I have, I've looked at my income statement at the end of the year after my taxes have been filed, and it's like, hey, good job, you guys had a profit this year. And you got to pay taxes and all that stuff, but then you look at your bank account and it's like, the money's not there. What the hell happened? And it's like, oh, well, you spent it, right? You already spent it, obviously, because it's not there. And you don't know what the hell happened to it. You don't know where it went. It's like, it says I have a profit on my income statement that my bookkeeper has gone through, that I've gone through, my accountant has gone through. And at the bottom line, it says I've made money, but my bank account does not reflect that. This is what we're going to break here. And that very first part, that's revenue minus profit equals expenses, is the very first part of doing that, because we're going to put profit first. So as detailers, we are OCD by nature. I touched on this a little bit with my live video. We are OCD by nature, okay? And as organized as we are with our towels and our pads and our vans and our shop, and everything is just, meticulously done, and then we get to our money and we're like, we'll just throw it all in one place, right? We just dump it all into that one account, and it goes in there and it comes out of it. So just think of it like all of your microfiber towels that you have, just put all those bitches into one tub, and you're just gonna go in there and grab them out as you're doing it. Like, there's no organization, there's no separation. It doesn't matter if you just use that bitch on a wheel, you're gonna go remove a coating with it now. It's like, it's just all right there. How crazy would that drive you? I'm sure it would drive you very crazy. The thought of it just pissed me off a little bit, all right? You're doing this with your money right now. I was doing this with my money. You're doing this with your money right now. All that shit that you have organized, that you busted your ass to get and used, busting your ass on people's cars, that's all neat and tidy. But the money you made from it, you're screwing around with it, You're screwing around with it. So we need to look at our behavior, and again, if you got into psychology at all, it's very hard to break a habit, man. It's very hard to break a habit. So what this book and the system is going to do is it's actually going to leverage our common behaviors into the system, not force us to make new habits to make the system work. It's actually going to use things that we're already used to doing. So first thing that came to my mind, and same thing the author pointed out, is this little guy here, right? If you want to know if you can buy something, you're going to turn this thing on, and you're going to log into your phone app, and you're going to look at your one bank account, or maybe two, but usually it's one that you got money come out of. And if there's money in it, and then there's something you want to buy, and it's less expensive than what you have in your account, you're going to go and buy it. And again, typically as money goes up, as income goes up, now it's like, hell yeah, let's go and let's do this. So my income was going up. That's when the quick checks came into play, and that's when we dropped $7 grand on the freaking floor, and another $2 or $3 grand on our lighting, and painted the whole shop up. And then we got all kinds of stuff that, you know, we already had enough towels, but we bought bulk of more towels and more pads, and it's just, it gets crazy. It gets crazy. Okay. Let me help you reminisce a little bit, because you're going to relate to this. I know you're going to relate to this. So like I said, we used to be mobile, right? Everything we had was in this little freaking car. Everything we had. If we forgot it, we had to make do without it, especially when we're 20, 30, 40, 50 miles away from home to go kick ass on a job. You know, the stuff that we use is not readily available around the corner. We got to make do with it, right? And it kind of cracked me up a little bit. Like one of my employees was talking about, you know, you don't know, Will's like, we know how to make stuff stretch out here. And he's talking about, you know, foaming up the cars with the foam can. You got a little bit of soap left in the foam can. Like, we can cover the whole car in this. You don't know. I'm like, bro, you don't even understand about stretching. You think about it in the middle of the day. I've been in the middle of like a house in the middle of freaking nowhere, and you're doing a car, and not only are you only stuck with what you got in hand, but you get a surprise when you get there because you haven't seen the car yet. And guess what? It's completely covered in fucking overspray. This happened, okay? Whole thing just freaking covered in overspray. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to make do with what you have, right? All of a sudden, you are the greatest innovator in the world because you're going to make it work. You know, when you're out, your product leaked, and all of a sudden that bottle of degreaser you had to clean the tires that was full is, you know, you're down to a little bit, and you're there and you're squeezing the little fucking trigger, and you're trying to cover everything that you need to. You can add a little water to it if you need to. You're gonna get the brush and spread it around a little bit more, or you know, you got that tire sponge that's just it's done, man. It's just, you know, there's nothing left of this thing, but you're gonna make it work to make these tires just look absolutely perfect. You don't have a shelf full of stuff like you do now in the big pretty shop. No, you got whatever you got in the car with you, right? It's like you have the bare minimum to make stuff work, but you made it work. I made it work. My sister made it work. You made it, or you are making it work. You didn't have all the money to buy all the pretty new toys, right? My first polisher was not a Roops. Roops wasn't even thought of. I couldn't even afford a really good polisher. I had to get a little PC, man. Little porta cable. Little, not the XP, not the new one, no, the old one, little porta cable, and a 4-inch backing plate. And I polished a freaking van with it. I had mental problems, obviously, but I made it work. Luckily, it was a family member's vehicle, so it wasn't like I was on a time crunch, but I polished this whole big-ass Chevy Express van with 4-inch pads like an idiot. But at the time, I thought smaller pad, greater cut, this is why I needed it. Anyway, I don't get it. So think of those days, you know, think of those days that where you didn't have hundreds of towels, you had a few towels, you know, you didn't have all these applications, you had to make stuff stretch. You didn't buy products by the 5 gallons, you had 1 gallon at a time, and you had to proportion that stuff out and order it correctly. And if you messed up, you got to make work what you have on hand, right? Remember those days, because these are the types of things. I'm not talking about being cheap now. I'm not talking about being cheap, but I am talking about the fact that you were able to make things work, and make things work well. You didn't get more clients because you did a shitty job with what you had, unless, I don't know, unless you figured out a way to make that shit work. I'm sure somebody has, but hopefully you didn't. Hopefully you didn't do a shitty job and get more clients and you had stupid people you were working for. No, you did a good job with what you had. You were able to complete the task with what you had. And my point is, we can still do this. We can still make things work, not on a shoestring budget per se, but we can make things work with less money than we're currently spending, okay? We're just going to tighten the belt up a little bit. That's all. We're cutting the fat. We're cutting the fat. We're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I don't know how many more analogies I got to use, but hopefully you get my fucking point. The 4 principles of financial fitness. So his idea came from, he was watching a show and they were talking about physical fitness. And, you know, 4 things that you can do to really help with your physical fitness. And again, it's based around behavioral type stuff. You're going to want to do things that are natural to you. So back to this little guy, it's very natural for us to log into our bank accounts and see how much money we got and then decide if we can afford something or not, right? That's how this whole system works. It's going to be based off of bank accounts. So we're actually going to create 5 bank accounts, And that is going to show us where our money is going, what we have to spend on what, all the while putting money to the side for important stuff like our profit, like paying ourselves, like taxes, and then you got the account for your expenses, right? So the problem we have as our income goes up, the way they related it to food is you got a big plate now, right? You got a big old serving plate, and it is full of money. And as the money's there, we're just going for it, and we're going for it because it's there. It's like, what the hell? And we continue to do that until we look one day and the numbers below what we're comfortable with, and then we panic, and now it's like, all right, we gotta sell, we gotta get some cars in here, we gotta get some coding jobs going, we gotta make some things happen so that we can pay for this shit we already bought. And then the money goes up again, and during that time we're very, very financially responsible. We're not buying shit we can't afford. Coca-Cola, we can't afford McDonald's, we can't afford anything because we're trying to save our dimes, and yet we're still managing to run the business the whole time off of this. And then the money gets back. I was like, oh, all right, we're good now. Now I can go get that whatever that I was looking at, and oh, this sale is going on, and I can go and get this, right? Our plates are too big. And the same idea is behind food. So essentially what he gets into is plates over the last couple of 100 years have gotten bigger, and therefore our serving sizes have gotten bigger. Well, if your business is bringing in money, then your plate has grown, right? So what we need to do is we need to have smaller plates. And notice the S at the end of that. We are going to have plates, plural, and that's going to be your 5 accounts. So as you have smaller plates, you only have a certain amount that you can actually put onto there, right? Or a certain amount that you can eat off of, so to speak. So now rather than everything going into one account, all the food getting piled onto one plate, and everything coming out of one account, so you're eating off of that one plate, we're going to divide it up to things that are appropriate. So let's break down the 5 accounts here real quick. So as you can guess, obviously you got to have an account to have your money come into, right? So that's going to be your serving platter right there. It's not going to be your plate anymore. It's going to be your serving platter. This is where all the food or all the money is going to get put into or put onto, right? Then we're going to break it down to the other 4 accounts. So the next one is going to be your profit account. Let's look at a second. You are not just an employee. You are not just an owner. You are currently both, more than likely, if you're watching this, like I am. So I still work in the business, but I am also the owner of the business. As the owner, I should not just be collecting a check every couple weeks, paycheck to paycheck, paycheck to paycheck. If you look at any stocks that are sold, you're going to get a quarterly disbursement of money. You're as a shareholder, right? If you're investing in it, it's the same idea. So quarterly, we're going to want to reward ourselves for taking these risks, for busting our asses, for getting as good as we are at what we're done, and we're going to actually reward ourselves with part of this profit. So part of that money is going to go into the profit account. So in the example that we're using with our accounts, we're dumping 10%. We're going to get up to 10%, I should say that. Currently, we're doing a small percentage. We're just doing 3% to start out with. And then we're going to up that as we get comfortable with the system. And that's what I'm encouraging you guys to do as well. As you get comfortable with the system, you're going to increase it. But don't go and be like, yeah, profit is good. Let's put all our money in there. You're supposed to drink a gallon of water a day too. But if you go and you try to down that bitch in one time, you're going to end up in the hospital. So same thing with your business. Don't try to drink the gallon of water all at once. We're going to try to ease our way into this. All right. So that's your profit account. The next account that we're going to have is the owner's compensation account. And again, the author asks a really ingenious question right here. And if you guys have employees, think about this. Who's your best employee? Like, who's your best employee? Like the one you can count on the most. Wait for you to answer. All right, we're done. If you named anybody else besides you, you're wrong. More than likely, like 99.9%, you're wrong. Because if you're still working in the business and you are still an employee of the business, guess what? You are the only one that's going to be there that will work for free, work holidays, work off hours, you will do anything to make this work. I guarantee you none of your other employees will do that, especially if they're not getting paid for it, right? It's you. It's you. So that's why we have this owner's compensation account. This owner's compensation account, this account number 2, is going to be what we pay ourselves out of, the owners. Now, this is separate from profit. This is what you're going to pay yourself to live off of, basically. So every couple of weeks, you're going to get yourself a check out of this account. This account is going to be a little bit fatter than the profit account. Again, I believe in our case, it's going to be 35%. So 35% of our income is going to get put into our owner's compensation account. Now, there's going to be a chart that you can look at, and depending upon where your actual income falls into will determine your percentages. We'll get into that in future videos, but just bear with me right now. Just please stick with me. I know it's a little long, but stick with me. But that owner's compensation account is what is going to be used to pay yourself off of. So now we got a second little plate. This is our other little plate. Third plate, tax plate, right? You got to pay taxes, man. You got to pay taxes. So you figure as you got 10% bumping into that profit account now, and then you got that 35% bumping into your take-home pay, your owner's compensation. Well, if you got all that money, or what, right around 45% now, if you got that amount of take-home pay going on, your taxes are going to be up too, right? Now, this is why a lot of people want to stay away from profit, because they're like, yeah, that's right. As I show more profit, I got to pay more taxes. Well, what would you rather do? Would you rather have the whole grape or part of the watermelon? Like, Brandon, I'm going to give you a shout out for that one. He gave me that one, which I really liked. But essentially, it's looking at, like, do you want a small part of a bigger piece, or do you want all of a little tiny piece? So if you're making an extra $100,000 a year in take-home pay, and you got to spend $20,000, $35,000 of it, it's still an extra 65 grand in your pocket, right? Are you going to say no to that because you got to pay a little more taxes? No. No, you are going to take that money, and I'm going to make you take that money, okay? You're going to fucking take the money. Do it, all right? So that is going to be our owner's compensation, our profit. We're going to have to pay taxes on that stuff, right? So that's why we have that tax account. That's going to be flat 15% regardless of where you land in the chart. Flat 15% is going to get put into there. And then finally, we have our operating expense account. And this is where the rest of the money is going to go. So in our case, I lost track, man. I think we're like around 35% or something like that. I think about 35% of that, or 45%, goes into our operating expense account. This is what you're going to run your business off of, okay? And when we get into the evaluation of your business, we're going to look at what we can cut or what we can redo with your expenses. I will tell you right now, I saved $3,000 a year already. There's no bullshit. I saved $3,000 a year already simply by going over my sheet of what my expenses are. And I found one that was pissing me off, and it was my insurance. And they've been pissing me off. And I had hunted around before, called a couple companies, and like I was getting pretty much the same quotes for my insurance. So be smart about this. If you can't find it, ask somebody who might. So I hit up my body shop guy, and he's been in business for however long, right? Same line of business. And he said that he had an insurance broker that helps him keep at the lowest rate possible year in and year out. They do a yearly analysis to make sure they're getting the best rates. How fucking brilliant is that shit? So he gave me his number. I called him up. Long story short, the quote that he shot me not only gives me better coverage, it gives me unlimited coverage as far as the dollar amount of the vehicle, but it's $3,000 less. That is a lot of money, bro. Like, that's a good chunk of money right there just off of one expense. Okay? So you can see where I'm going with this. When we start to analyze this, and guess what? I'm going to still have the same insurance. In this case, I'm going to have better insurance, and I'm saving money with it. And all I had to do was sit with my paperwork for a little bit and study it and look at it and be like, we're going to underline your ass right here, which we're going to get into in one of the future videos as far as how to examine this. And I found somebody that was able to replace it with something better for much less. Now we're winning. All right? Principle number 2 is the sequence that you do things in. So, hello, Ginger. Yeah, she's happy. She's always smiling, man. She's just constantly happy. You can yell at her and she just smiles at you. All right, so we're going to look at the sequence you do things in. So if you look at anything in life, it's typically whatever's put in front of you first is what you're going to do first, right? So this being the case, that's why we're going to put the profit in front of you first, essentially is what it boils down to. So if you're using the food example, you know, if you want to eat the nasty stuff, that's probably why they bring you the dinner salad out first. So that way you eat it. And then when you get to the good stuff, it's like, all right, you've already had your vegetables, right? You already had your veggies. You had your veggies. You had the essential stuff that you might not necessarily want to do. Well, in this case, the veggies is your fucking profit. So you want to do that, but it's going to freak you out a little bit because you're so used to taking that and dumping it back into the business. We're not going to do it like that anymore. So we're going to put that up front and use that first. That's why it was the first account that I named. It is the first thing that is going to have money put into it, right? And then as you go on, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes as far as paying yourself and taxes and your operating expense. So keep that in mind. This is why it's really important, again, to get your head right about this. Like, you really got to focus on this and I don't want to say buy into the system, but buy into the system. Like, you got to believe in this, and as much studying as I've done with it in the past few weeks, it makes all the sense in the world, man. So you got to cover your own ass first. Now, again, we're going to start out small. We're not going to drink that gallon of water up front. We're going to start out small, but eventually we're going to get up to that full gallon a day, okay? The third thing that he talks about is removing temptation, right? So you got your 5 bank accounts, and you can log in and you can see I got this much amount of profit put to the side, this much is put to the side for my owner's compensation, this much is put to the side for my taxes, and this much for operating expenses, right? You can see that automatically just by logging, and this again is how we're playing into our natural behavior. Our natural behavior, excuse me, is not to do that on camera, okay? Our natural behavior is to log into our phone, right? We talked about that, and check your bank account. It's going to give you a more true answer now. It's going to give you a very true answer now when you log in and you see exactly how your money's divided up. And now I'm going to get into how you build that process up so that way your accounts are true. But we've already done that. We don't have to go into the accounting software and read Greek to figure out where we may or may not be with our business. And again, as we covered in the beginning, even when it says you're netting a profit, it's not necessarily fucking truth, right? So this is going to give you actual dollar, liquid fucking money where your money is at. That's a beautiful thing, right? So his thing is he wants to remove temptation. So out of these 5 accounts, the 2 that you're not supposed to fuck with is your profit account and your tax account, because the profit account is for your ass and you don't want to piss off the boss, right? So that's for your ass, and that needs to grow. And part of that profit account is also going to be your rainy day fund, which again, I'll get into that in a minute. But the tax account, man, Sam wants his money, man. He wants his fucking money, and he doesn't care that you spent it already. He doesn't care that you didn't keep track of your shit correctly. He doesn't care about anything. He wants his money, or he's gonna put your ass on some really shitty payment. I've been on payments before with the IRS, and it sucks, man. It sucks, and it's expensive. And the other alternative is obviously you take your ass to jail, which that's not really the best either, because then you're gonna have some dude that looks like George back here in your cell with you, and it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. So we're going to avoid that. And this is how we get into the remove temptation part. What he wants you to do is open up 2 separate savings accounts in a different bank, and a bank that is a pain in the ass to get into. You do not want to be able to access these funds online easily. You do not want to be able to get into these funds easily. You don't want an ATM card for these. You don't want checking. I'm sorry, my computer keeps dimming. That's why the light went down. You don't want to be able to access this, because these are going to be holding accounts only. So as your money compiles into the checking profit account, the first one we talked about, we're going to move it into the holding profit account in a second bank. So this is so we can't see it. It's going to be there and just continue to build and build and build and build. And we're not going to obsess over it every time we look at our phone app, like, look at that big fat number. Let's go spend that shit. No. We're going to let it build without paying attention to it, okay? Same thing with the tax account. It ain't your money. Like, it sucks, but it's not your money. That's going to go to the IRS. Best case scenario, you end up with a little bit extra at the end of the year, and hey, extra bonus, right? Worst case scenario, you got to cover a little bit, right? Which with this percentage, you shouldn't have to if you stay on top of it. But we'll say worst case. Compare that to, surprise, you owe $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to the IRS. See you soon. Yeah, that shit ain't fun. It ain't fun. So that's why he wants these separate accounts to where you can't see it. The money just gets pushed over there. And it would have to take an absolute emergency for you to go into that profit account and pull out money from that profit account to cover expenses that your operating expense account is not able to cover. That's his theory behind it. And for me, I'll be honest, like, I've opened the 5 main accounts already. I have not opened the other 2. Now, I know me and I know myself. I can actually hide accounts on my login. So I've done that. So where I'm not going to look at that. But I can still access the account very easily. It's very easy to just transfer money. If I ever fuck up like that, I guarantee you I will go and open the separate accounts. Now, I'm hoping you guys are adult enough to know yourself. If you know yourself and you know the money's there and you're likely gonna dip into it even a little bit, I don't care if it's $20, I don't care if it's $100, I don't care what it is. If you're gonna dip into it at all and you know you will, open the separate accounts, please. Okay? I really hope you'll go ahead and open those separate accounts to hold your tax and your profit. If you feel you can hold on and like have the checking accounts and not screw around with it like I'm doing, then obviously feel free to do it. Nothing here is written in blood, but he really, really recommends opening the other 2 accounts. So do with this part as you will. If you're just getting into this and you're in debt and you're actually underwater here, I would recommend doing the other 2 accounts. Or if you're constantly losing money, I would recommend doing the other 2 accounts, okay? So be responsible, be an adult here, do what you need to do, okay? Do what you need to do to be able to make this work. Now the last part is he talks about the cash flow waves. So these are essentially your peaks and your valleys of income. So you're going to get used to it's going to be a rhythm, right? It's going to be a rhythm. So what you're going to do is on the 10th and the 25th of every month, you're going to now go into that income account and you're going to divvy up the money basically. So think of it like envelopes, right? Like an envelope system. You're going to take the envelope that has all the money stuffed into it, and now it's the 10th, and it's like, all right, I got to break this money up to put money to the side for profit taxes, owner's income, and operating expense. And you got to divide that up, right? You're only going to do this 2 times a month. However, the beautiful part about it is it's going to get you, as you build history, it's going to get you used to seeing, okay, well, a weekend, this is usually what my income is at, right? So I'm used to seeing about $10,000 a week into a new period. If you log in and you look and you're under 10 grand, light bulb should go on, right? Like, shit, we're not doing what we need to be doing. We need to do something more. We need to, put the pedal to the metal here and make some shit happen. We're lower than we should be, or lower than what we usually are. If you log in and you see you're at 20 grand, it's like, wow, what the hell happened here? Same response. You need to go in and figure out, what am I doing that's so great this period that has us skyrocketing like this, right? So it's going to be able to get you to be used to where your money's at a certain point in time each month. And that's going to get you regular, so to speak, right? So you're going to get used to where you're falling and where those cash flows waves are coming in at. And as you figure out what that median is, you will now be able to just look at your bank account. It's super simple. Once again, we're playing with easy behavior here, and figure out if you're doing well, money's higher than it usually is, or if you're slouching a little bit and the money's below what it usually is. So we want to pay attention to that. And this, again, super easy, man. I do this, like I've been doing this, but I would do it through my QuickBooks, and I can click and check out the profit and loss report. And it'll give me a number, it'll throw me a number, but it doesn't tell the whole story, so to speak, right? This is fucking liquid. This is your literal cash amount. It's a good thing, all right? So that's going to be our 4th part there. We're going to now go into the profit account, and it's party time, right? So we're going to go into there, and 50% of that money is going to get split up amongst the shareholders or the owners. Or if you have somebody who is an owner with you, it gets split up between you two. In my case, my sister and I are 50-50 owners, so we will take, if we had, let's hope this shit happens, if we had, hey, chill, god damn, I just woke up the demons. If we had $10,000 sitting to the side in our profit account after 3 months, we now take 5,000 of that, and we're going to divide that in half, and I'm going to get 2,500 and she's going to get 2,500. The other 5,000 stays in the profit account, and that is going to be our rainy day fund. Another thing that is recommended is to build up enough money in savings or in your profit account to cover 3 months worth of expenses, worth of keeping your doors open, basically. Now, if you guys are in the Midwest or in an area where it snows, then God bless you, but I know business, I've talked to enough of you guys, I know business comes to a screeching halt in a lot of ways when those shitty months come. That's where this account is going to come into play, all right? This is where you can still pay bills. You don't have to freak out. You've already got your ass covered. Even if you don't get a single job in, you have at least 3 months, and this takes time to build up. Don't get crazy, but we want to try to have 3 months worth of money put to the side so that if Armageddon happens, hey, at least you're keeping the doors open for 90 days. If you can't get your shit back on track in 90 days, well, we really need to talk then. But that should be more than enough to get through shitty season, to get through slow time, to get through whatever, right? So now we're going to get into the doubts that you likely have in your mind. How is this going to work? If you've never had profit before, then likely you're thinking, how the hell is this going to work, man? I'm currently losing money. I don't know how I'm going to make this happen. if you look at the industry standard, even like if you look at other business per se, it's like all these other guys are barely breaking even. What's going to make me different? Why is this going to work better for us? If you look at even the ones that are profitable and it's a smaller amount than what you're shooting for, you know what, man? We got into this wherever you are. If you're a detailer and you started your own business, I don't think you got into it to be mediocre, to be industry standard, to be, you know, somewhere right around the middle there. Chances are you are pushing your ass to get up as high as you can on the fucking food chain, just like you should be. And we're going to treat this exactly the same. Okay? We're going to treat this exactly the same. We are going to push ourselves. We're going to be disciplined. We're going to be OCD, which shouldn't be that big of a deal. But we also got to have faith that this is going to work. And this is the part that does fight a little bit with our detailers' natural instinct. We are really used to instant gratification. Something's dirty, we wash, and an hour later it's clean. I covered this before in a different video. You know, it's like, you got swirled up paint, give me a day with it, and it's going to look like it was just repainted. Like, we are used to instant gratification in a very short period of time. But not everything is like that. Some things are a process. You did not learn how to get as good as you are right now overnight. I guarantee you it took you time, it took you years to be able to get to the level you are now. And in 5 years, you're going to be even better at it. We're taking that same mentality and we're going to put it here. So we're trying not to focus on the instant gratification part. We're going to have, you know, we're slowly building Rome here, man. We're going to keep that bitch up, though. We're not going to let that shit fall like they did in the past, all right? So we're slowly building it up here. Now, the other part that I want you to think on, that I really want you to focus on, is how to be innovative. And this is big. That's how we're going to make that operating expense account work, okay? The first part is what I talked about earlier. We're going to see what we can cut. I already told you I was able to cut 3 G's like that, and I'm not done yet. Like, I still got some other calls I need to make. I still got some other things that I need to do, that I either need to cut out the expense completely, like if it's bullshit types of expenses, or I need to replace them like I did with the insurance, or if they're profitable, I'm going to examine them to see, okay, obviously I still got to buy products, right? But is there a way I can save? Can I buy in bulk and save money that way? Can I set up some sort of a wholesaler account? You know, whatever you got to do. There's all kinds of ways to be innovative with running your business. And past even that, it's how you're actually operating. Like, what can you do with the way you're actually operating your business to be more efficient? To be more efficient. Now, I'm not talking about cutting corners, but and a lot of detailers have this disease in their head that the longer I spend on a car, the better the detail is. Stop it. Just fucking stop it, right? Like, those write-ups are really great. Oh, I spent 40 hours on this car. I've got write-ups like that out there. Spent 40 hours on this car. And you know what? That's all well and good if it's legitimate. If that was legitimately the best time you can complete that car in, good. But if you're just wasting time to waste time, you know, there's ways that you can go about doing things quicker, but you're ignoring it because, you know, this is the standard way that everybody's done it, this is the way I've always done it, this is the way my pappy did it, this is the way my grandpappy did it, all that bullshit. Whatever the case, think outside the box, okay? Think outside the box. And I'm doing this as well. I've always done this, but I'm doing this like hardcore now as well. What can we do to make things more efficient? Because the more efficient you are, the less time you're using, the less, hopefully, products you're using, or fewer products that you're using, or less equipment that you're using. You know, you gotta think outside the box. And the more you can get a handle on that operating expense account, hey, if you're able to take that 35% and now all of a sudden you're running at 30%, fuck, happy day, man. Now you got an extra 5% of money floating over there. There's nothing in this that says you have to stick to these percentages that we come up with in the beginning, okay? Understand that. There's nothing that says you have to. No, we want a history. We don't want to be like, oh, this quarter I ran my business on 30%. I'm going to drop my percentage down of what I'm putting aside. We're not doing that. But if you're running a year and it's like, I am consistently running my business at 30% right now, we can adjust it down. Now we got an extra 5% of money, and hey, we're going to go a little more into profit, and we're going to go a little more into owner's income, and yeah, a little more into tax, but hey, 2 out of the 3 are for us, right? So none of this is written in blood is what I'm trying to get across to you. But you got to think. You got to think. And you guys come up with some good ideas. I hope you share with my ass as a thank you to help me the fuck out, okay? But seriously, it's like, try to think outside the box here to become more innovative, to become more efficient, and thus save money, thus increase your profit, thus less stress on you and more joy for you for your business, right? Like I had promised, I will have one task for you guys. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to open up one new checking account. Okay, one new checking account. Now, there are going to be a couple things. First of all, you want to make sure this checking account is not going to get feed with your bank. So you need to discuss this with your bank about, is there a way? And I had to do this. I had to walk into my bank and be like, look, I need to open 4. I just did all 4 at once. I got to open 4 new accounts, but I do not want to have a minimum balance on these bitches. And I don't want to start, you take 4 accounts and you're getting hit $10 a piece. Like I'm losing $40 a month. No, I don't want that. And they had like $1,000 minimum. But then the lady worked with me. Like I found somebody good to help me out. And she went through and I was like, okay, well, we do have this option to where if your minimum combined balance is $10,000, then you're free of all fees on all of those accounts. Like, bingo, I can do that one. Let's do that. So that's the one I was able to set up. And again, this is Arizona Bank. It's National Bank of Arizona. If you're in Arizona, then hey, feel free to go use that one. If you're not, I'm going to include a link at the bottom in the description of the video, and we're on the post to where Mike, the author, actually came up with some good sources that are basically profit first friendly. They're not going to fee your ass for having multiple accounts or have you have crazy minimums and things like that. If that still doesn't work, you got to negotiate, man. You got to talk. You got to figure out, hey, look, I'm trying to save more money in your bank. I'm trying to keep more money in your bank, which is good for you, but I need you to help me. And maybe it's not the first bank you come across. Maybe you got to switch banks. Maybe you got to talk to a couple of banks. It's going to take a little time. This is a long-term thing. It's a fucking long-term thing, okay? So it is worth the extra time to make sure you get the right account set up for yourself and you're not going to lose money by having to pay fees. So please take this seriously. Find the right account to open up at the right bank, okay? So we're going to have you open up one account. And that is going to be what account? What account? It's going to be a profit account. We are going to take 1% of whatever money you have right now, whatever money is in your current stash, in your checking / savings, your combined business money here. Business money. Don't take your personal money out of this. This is your business money. You're going to take 1% of that and you're going to put it into your profit account. Just 1%. No, it's not big, but like I said, we are not trying to drink the gallon of water in one sitting. So this is our first sip. We're going to taste a little bit of profit here. So this is exactly what I did. I'm not asking you to do something I didn't do. This is what the book recommends. I stuck with it, and we're going to gradually increase this. But we're going to start out to show you're going to instantly generate profit by just putting that shit to the side for you. Okay? So that is the one task that we have for you, or I have for you. I don't know who we is, me and Ginger maybe. I don't know. George, yeah, we. This is the one task that we have for you today is we want you to open one more checking account, title that as your profit account, and I want you to take 1% of your money and put it into that account. Okay? Now we're on the road. Now I've been yakking here for God knows how long. I don't know how many of you I lost. Those of you that stuck with it, thank you so much. I really appreciate it because these videos do take a lot of time, and I'm just hoping that it helps somebody out along the way. And if you did stick with it and you do feel excited about this like I am, and you do feel like it's going to help you, then good. We're going to stick with this shit together and we're going to make it work. But go ahead and get that account opened up. So again, just to review, we have like our four things that we're looking at. So we want smaller plates, right? We're going to get those multiple accounts opened up. I'm going to get into more of it on the next video. We got to figure out our percentages. So we're going to do a business analysis on the next video. But right now, just keep in mind, this is where we're going. This is why we're doing it like this. We're going to have smaller plates. We're going to have multiple plates, right? We're going to change the sequence we're looking at stuff. So we're not going to have expenses first. We're going to have our profit first. And that's why I'm having you open that profit account first, okay? We're going to remove temptation. I already discussed with you guys as far as how I did it. Like I'm just being honest, I'm not opening up separate accounts at this point. But if I screw up, you bet your ass I'm going to. If you think even like a 0.1% that you're going to screw up, please just go open the separate accounts out so that way you can keep your profit and your taxes to the side and you're not tempted. You know, you're not keeping the sweets in the house anymore, right? You're not doing it anymore. You're avoiding those emailers for this detail sale of the year. Like we're not looking at that right now. We're removing temptation to fuck with our own money, okay? And then of course we're gonna get into getting used to those peaks and valleys of our income. So again, this is a long-term thing, guys. You're not going to see this in a day, in a week, in a month. You probably need at least a couple of years to really see a constant thing. I'll say 1 year. Like in 1 year, you'll probably get used to seeing what your cash flow is right, where you're usually at, what the good months are, what the bad months are, when to expect them. We're gonna get used to that as we go along. So those are our four main things that we wanted to cover with that. And then rude. Hey, no barking. Rude, man. Just rude. And then he puts his ass in the video. Go on, man. Get out of here. And again, we wanted to cover what profit actually is. So this is separate than your take-home pay, right? We are going to treat this like a business going on. We are not self-fucking-employed only anymore. This is our business, and we're going to treat it like a business, and we're going to grow it the right way, right? Right. All right. Now I got to edit this video, so I'm going to go ahead and start doing this stuff. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, obviously, please comment. If you like the video, please do hit the like button. Please do subscribe. And obviously, if you know anybody else in our industry that you feel this would help, share it with them. Please share it with them. I would appreciate it because I feel like I'm helping more people, and I know to God that they'll appreciate it. So make it a point, pass it on, pay it forward. That's what I'm trying to do here, right? All right, guys. Me and George, or George and I, are going to go ahead and cut out on this. I'm going to get to editing and get this bad boy posted. Week 1, I kept my word. I got a video up. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.